Hello and welcome to AR on AR. I'm Adam Rose and today I'm going to help you find out what races are going on in your area. Okay, one of the challenges I had as an adventure racer was first seeing it on TV and then wondering, are there any events like that taking place anywhere near me? And literally for years I had no clue. So what I wish I had known at the time was which websites I could go to find out about a full calendar of what's going on. Okay, now there might be races that you want to go to locally, or races in another state, another province, or even races in another country, especially in another country. You want to go explore mountains and jungles and rivers and deserts and all those kinds of things. It's not immediately obvious where you can do that kind of stuff. What I'm not going to do in this video so much is talk about specific businesses. For example, here in the UK, there are a bunch of race directors who put on events. I'm not really focusing on that right now because that would be limiting this video just to the UK. So it's more about the bigger sources of information, the wider sources of information that can paint a bigger picture. Okay, and I'm going to start off first of all with Sleepmonsters.com. Now, a little disclaimer, I work for Sleepmonsters.com. But that's not to say I'm biased or I'm trying to promote that ahead of anything else for unjust reasons. It is pretty much considered the BBC of adventure racing reporting. It's been around for a very long time, pretty much longer than anything else that's available out there right now. And you can go to their calendar and find out what's going on month by month across the world. And if you're actually hosting an event, you can actually go and advertise your event for free, and get publicity that way for free. And as a consequence, that's where you'll find information about pretty much most races on the planet. Okay, after Sleepmonsters, the next place I want to point you towards is the Adventure Racing World Series. Based out of Australia, it is a global championship featuring races right across the world, culminating in a world championship usually towards the end of the calendar year. So these events are expedition races, meaning anything from 3 to 10 days long. And even if you don't intend to get into the deep end of those kind of races straight away, if one's taking place anywhere near you, it would be a really useful opportunity to go and see how people prepare for an event like this, what gear they bring to a race like this, and just pick up the vibe and ask questions from the people who attend these races. Adventure racing is a really, really friendly community, so they will welcome you asking those kind of questions. Anyway, that's at ARWSseries.com, and that has, for a long time, since about the mid-2000s, been the dominating force in adventure racing. On a smaller scale, there is the Adventure Racing European Series, and they have been obviously staging races across Europe, and culminating again in a European Championship, and whichever team wins that European Championship then gets free entry into the Adventure Racing World Series World Championship. Again, a really good place to go to. There are some races that have been on there for a long time. For example, the Czech Adventure Race. There are races that have been on there for more than 10 years, and it's a really good place to start if you're based anywhere in Europe. A newcomer on the block, relatively speaking, is the Adventure One Series. Been around for a few years, and it's based down in Australia and New Zealand. It's recently started staging events in South Africa as well, and they offer an alternative championship to the Adventure Racing World Series. If you're based anywhere down in the deep south, that's a really good place to start. It's really, really popular, competitive races, and usually 24 hours or longer. Moving over to America, there are a number of organizations based over there that cultivate the sport of adventure racing, starting off with the US Adventure Racing Association, USARA. They have a full calendar and a national championship. They're also supported by other organizations like the New York Adventure Racing Association. So those are two really good places to go to see what's going on in the American arena. And a recent partner in adventure racing that has emerged in the US is the Adventure Racing Cooperative. It's staffed by some famous faces in the world of adventure racing, and they have an extensive calendar which could really serve you to find out what's going on locally. If you're a member of Facebook, I really recommend you get in contact with the Adventure Racing discussion group. They cover all sorts of topics, whether it's a race that's happening right now, or ways to grow the sport, or ideas on what kind of kit to use, what kind of bike to buy, all sorts of things like that. So it's a really good place to start. And in addition to that is the Adventure Racing Teammate Finder. because one of the bigger challenges people have is they get excited by the sport and then realize, because it's a team sport, where can I find like-minded people? On Facebook, there's also the Adventure Racing Gear Bazaar, which is a good place to source second-hand equipment or just even borrow equipment for a race, because adventure racing is such a gear-intensive sport. Let's say, for example, you needed to get a pack raft. That's quite an expensive investment if you're not sure you're going to use it again. So you could always go onto the Gear Bazaar and then potentially borrow a pack raft from somebody in your neighborhood, just so that you don't have to fork out all that money straight away. Another website that's been around for a long time is AttackPoint.org. There you can find information on training, on nutrition, on navigation. It's not simply about adventure racing, it's also about orienteering in general. So you will find discussions developing there when an expedition race happens. Not every time, of course, but if you really want to find comments by people who well versed in the sport, that is really useful to just plug in and follow on with the comments. I've been there myself, where threads have been going on for days about a specific event. So in addition to the GPS tracking that most races feature nowadays, that's where you could go and find the nitty-gritty from people who know team members that are participating in a specific event, or who have local knowledge about where that event is taking place. So just spend a little time digging around on those websites, and with all that information, I'm sure you'll probably find the races taking place right under your nose. Okay, thanks very much. Subscribe as usual if you find this useful, and I'll hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.